Gossip Girl's Dan Humphrey made his way from, well, not really the bottom, more like the top of the middle, to the very top of the elite society of New York City's Upper East Side.
Dan Humphrey, the ultimate insider.
In the finale, it was revealed that this upward climb wasn't just a fluke of fate and circumstance, but a deliberate weaseling in on his part. It turned out that he, of all people, was anonymous rumor monger Gossip Girl, and had been ruining his friends' and family's lives, and his own, for years, all as part of a twisted bid to help him cement his place in this elite world.
That's the point. You're no one until you're talked about.
If we ignore the parts of his story that don't make a whole lot of sense, like all of the times he was surprised by his own Gossip Girl blasts, we can see that while Dan was shady, he wasn't really wrong about how the world works, and what one has to do if they really want to break their way into those kinds of insular, exclusive social circles as an outsider. So let's take a deeper look at the pretty dark lessons we learn from Dan's story.
And who am I? That's one secret I'll never tell. The only one. XOXO, Gossip Girl.
There's a refrain we sometimes hear, that the things we want will come for us when the time is right if we just want them hard enough, because it'll be fate. Dan shows how this isn't really the case. If you really want something, you have to go after it full speed ahead. And if you want something that's hard to get, like say a spot in one of the most cliquish, elite social circles in the country, you're probably going to have to do some pretty unsavory and even cruel things to make it happen. Dan, it seems, was more than up for the challenge.
There will always be someone on the outside wanting to get in.
He spent the entire show working to leverage everything he could think of to make sure he not only got in, but wouldn't be able to get pushed out. That includes dragging his own family through the dirt and even wrecking his own reputation for plausible deniability.
I cannot believe you are the one responsible for all of this poison. The damage you've done to your friends, to your family, to your own sister.
Of course, a lot of this, especially in the earlier seasons, was actually because the writers didn't plan on him being Gossip Girl, and so the choices only become super messed up in hindsight post-reveal. But if we take it as his legitimate full series arc, that he masterminded Gossip Girl and all of the chaos it brought to forward his own aims, it actually does make a lot of sense. The world he wanted to break into isn't based on merit or ability or kindness. It functions off of many of the darker realities of our world. And so if he was to truly become a part of that world, then he needed to really embrace that darkness.
No matter how much we love Lily and Serena, they're always going to choose guys like Bart Bass.
So maybe the trick is to become Bart Bass.
In this world that works so hard to keep outsiders out, he knew that if he wanted to become a permanent member of these circles, he wouldn't be invited in. He would have to find their weak spots and exploit them. In a way, Dan is similar to Queen Bee Blair. They both feel that they're missing something that would grant them the ability to have everything they really want without any friction. For her, charm; for him, social standing. Serena, for both of them, represents that thing they feel they lack. Thanks to her privilege, charm, and power, she's able to swan her way through life getting everything she wants without ever really trying, or seemingly even having to think about it much.
How do you manage to get out of everything unscathed?
Because I'm nice. You should try it sometime.
Both Dan and Blair, on the other hand, feel like they're constantly fighting tooth and nail just to attempt to get near that same level. And we can see this come out in the malicious ways they go about getting the power they desire. Blair through being a mean girl, Dan through being a sneaky little snake snarking behind everyone's backs. Dan, we're led to believe in the end, had been laser focused on his goal of climbing the ranks of the Upper East Side since the very first moment we met him.
All I had to compare to this world was what I'd read in books. But that gave me the idea.
While he has an idea of what he wants and how to get there, he doesn't really have a clear path, and so constantly has to improvise solutions and find ways around obstacles. He writes his own story, figuratively and literally, taking every chance he can to mold his life and this new world he's arrived in into what he wants it to be.
And when Serena came back from boarding school, I wrote my first post about me. Lonely boy. The outsider, the underdog. I might have been a joke, but at least people were talking about me.
Season after season, all kinds of chaos and drama came his way, much of it apparently created by him, but he was always able to find a way to spin everything to his advantage in the end.
Okay, so this is your payback. Do you feel better about riding the subway to school since you made a fool of me to everyone?
His obsession with Serena functions as a metaphor for his larger obsession with success, and particularly the outward appearance of success.
Every writer needs his muse. And it wasn't until that photo of Serena that I knew I had something strong enough to actually create a legend.
He knew that by snagging Serena, the it girl of the Upper East Side, it would prove to everyone else that he was worthy of being amongst them.
Without Serena Vanderwoodson, who would I have dreamt about? I might have spent my whole life on the outside if you hadn't let me in.
But in this, we also see the dark truth that exists at the core of this obsession. He doesn't just want to join these ranks. He also wants to punish others for ever keeping him on the outside. Being Gossip Girl afforded him the really gross opportunity to continually knock Serena down a peg.
And as for Serena Vanderwoodson, after today, you are officially irrelevant.
Because he knows that she'll never truly fall out of favor in this world. But causing her to suffer public humiliation allows him moments to feel like he's the powerful one in this relationship. He resents and is simultaneously obsessed with Serena in the same way he is with the entire world that she inhabits, and in many ways represents. And so feeling power over her makes him feel like he has power over everyone.
It has always been your world, and you've never let me forget it. I've always been a visitor. The poor kid from Brooklyn who you've never seen as an equal.
Trying to feel in control of your life by running a years-long gossip campaign against yourself and everyone you know isn't a great idea. But one positive way you can start feeling more in control and making productive changes in your life is by making scheduling your doctor's appointments so much easier with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. They make it super easy. You can search by location, availability, and insurance, so you won't feel forced to make any compromises. You can read through reviews from real patients to get a feel for each doctor. And then when you find one you like, you can book them instantly. No need to call and listen to bad hold music while hoping they'll have an availability. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. Using ZocDoc has made finding and booking a doctor so much easier for me. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/thetake to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/thetake. ZocDoc.com/thetake. Money may not be able to buy happiness, but it can buy and fix pretty much anything else. Dan knows that by securing his spot in the upper echelon and getting access to their immense wealth, he would open himself up to a new level of power that he never would have had access to otherwise.
Membership in this community was so elite, you couldn't even buy your way in. It was a birthright I didn't have, and my greatest achievements would never earn me.
If he could make it to that level, he knew his indiscretions and bad behavior wouldn't really matter that much in the end. Because money can paper over pretty much any problem in this world. Nothing really affects you that much when the blow of every problem you encounter is cushioned by your immense wealth.
You can tell us anything. We don't judge. We're the non-judging breakfast club.
And in the end, he's right. We can see this in everyone's reaction to the reveal of Dan being Gossip Girl. Sure, they're upset initially, but not really that mad.
Why do you all think that this is funny? Gossip Girl ruined our lives.
Your life really ruined Blair.
If you think about it, we're all on track to do exactly what we wanted to do.
For us normal people, finding out that one of the closest people to us had been not only lying to us for years, but also using some of the lowest points of our lives to set up their own career would be a relationship ender at a minimum. But for the non-judging Breakfast Club, it's just another mean, annoying thing one of their friends has done that they'll end up getting over after a trip to the spa.
What I did is no worse than what all your friends do to each other every day. You try to ruin each other, and then you sit down for Thanksgiving, and you call yourselves family.
To ensure this highest class continues to exist means making sure that their peers are never really subject to consequences that are too grave. Because if one person starts getting in trouble, it could mean that all of the dominoes begin to fall. So once Dan is well and truly in, he joins that protected bubble and gets to float on without trouble, just like he had always planned.
You think they hate me?
They fear you. Welcome to the Upper East Side.
Dan could have gone full Patrick Bateman, living completely devoid of any connection to anyone or any desire for anything other than aesthetic things. But he did, even in the course of all of his shady behavior, form bonds with people and seemed to genuinely care about them. The show tried to handwave away some of his more egregious behavior as Gossip Girl, as him actually trying to be helpful to the people he cared about. Like the explanation that his blast about Jenny, including the one exposing her for having lost her virginity to their stepbrother, were actually trying to help her.
She sent that tip in herself. She wanted to get out of New York. But she didn't feel like she had the strength to leave it around, so she knew if Blair found out the truth, she wouldn't have a choice.
He also seems to form a genuine relationship with Blair. They butted heads for seasons, but come to realize they're much more alike than either of them would like to admit. For two people who were so hungry for power, they were surprisingly able to find a nice equilibrium in their relationship, where they weren't vying for control, but actually genuinely there for one another in a caring way. In contrast to his obsessive relationship with Serena, his relationship with Blair actually seems to be with Blair herself, and not just the idea of Blair Waldorf. For both of them, their relationship was a nice opportunity to step outside of the shells they had built up and form real bonds.
And what if I lose everything?
You'll still have me.
Maybe it's not blood bonds that make us a family. Perhaps it's the people who know our secrets and love us anyway.
And could have gone on to be used to show how it's actually better to build a positive life around the people and things that bring you comfort and joy, instead of drama and pain. But this is Gossip Girl. In the end, it seems like Dan has secured everything he's ever wanted. The career, the success, the money, the wife. But no one who has spent years and years building up their life on deceit and power struggles is going to be able to just sit back and chill once they get what they initially wanted. There will always be a new mountain to conquer. Nothing will ever really be enough for Dan. Eventually, the book sales will wane, and the magazine pieces will slow down, and he'll need something new to wrest back control and power. And that will probably mean blowing up his life and hurting everyone around him again. Since this is par for the course for this group, it probably won't even come as a surprise to them. But it does shine a different light on Dan's insistence that he only did what he did because it was the only way for him to reach his goal. Because the truth is that that goal will always be moving away from him. That kind of desire isn't something one can ever truly satiate.
The Upper East Side was like something from Fitzgerald or Thackeray. If I wasn't born into this world, maybe I could write myself into it.
He'll always be looking for a way to feel more powerful, over his career, over Serena, over the entire Upper East Side. Never able to truly enjoy what he has gained, because he can only see what he hasn't seized yet. Dan's story of deception is, in hindsight, pretty creepy and weird, but it's not actually that unrealistic. Sure, it's played up quite a bit because it was a teen soap on the CW, but the basic rot at the core of what drives him is a real problem in the real world. He's a cautionary tale for how greed and desire can turn you into the villain in your own story. And in the end, an example of how, while it might feel lonely at the bottom, it'll be just as lonely at the top if you give up everything else to get there.
You were supposed to be different.
I used to be. Got me nowhere. So now I'm the same.
That's the take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.